same thing for me, for their sister to go live their dream. And my dad, who was kicking and screaming the whole time until he got hired. Then he's like, we're going to California. But the whole time he was otherwise like, I'm not leaving this farm. And he told me this is going to be a heartbreak. Like, you are going to get so many doors slammed in your face. You are going to have so much pressure. And I think that was just him trying to really protect me. But again, he went with it, my whole family. So I think if I took that moment to just acknowledge, you're right, Kevin just appreciated that you worked really hard, and that means a lot. And then also, on top of that, the miraculous truth that my family, out of all the families that I could have come from the heavens and been a part of, is the one that I have. And it happens to be a dad who, our jukebox was just filled with female rock and roll singers, blues singers. My dad, I hated Etta James by the time Hannah Montana was over because my dad played it every single day. And Stevie Nicks and Joe. And, so my dad, he celebrated women. He celebrated that. I think that's why I'm so I'm kind of steadfast in the idea of what I want. It's because my dad showed me Janis Joplin. My dad, watched Debbie Harry. And so I have this, father who never told me don't pick up a guitar, go grab ballet slippers or something. He always said go pick up the electric guitar. My dad's left-handed. He had me playing an upside-down guitar for my whole life, but that's just very much us. And then my mom, who anything I wanted to try, she never judged me. She watched me, bounce off my head while trying to do back handsprings, and she took me to go to all my mom was just so dedicated to her kids, and there was 5 of us, so she did that equally for all of us. My siblings were so selfless. If I could have just taken that moment to have gratitude instead, it would have changed the whole conversation.
I'm going to tell you something. First of all, I'm no therapist, okay? Not in any way, shape, or form, but I'm listening to you, there's a lot of self-work. There's a lot of self-evolvement. Like this, and I can hear it. I can see it. I'm not a spiritual guy. I'm not overly spiritual. I believe that stars could possibly be picked. You could possibly be picked from the gate. When you first talked to me, you talked to me about a small town. You're talking about a farm. You're talking about I outgrew. It was already a thing. It just wasn't for me. It was in you from the beginning, whether you felt it or not. I wish I could sit up here and say I didn't have star-like qualities as a child. I'm not being cocky, but I'm telling you, as a young kid, I had it. I had it. At an event when my swim team was giving out awards and trophies, I was the worst swimmer. I never practiced or nothing, but I chose the banquet when we were supposed to come up and say thank yous. I did a monologue that was basically a comedy routine. It wasn't written.
Yeah.
It was off the top. Everybody's falling off their seats.
Yeah.
When I look back at that moment now, oh my God,
Yeah.
it was always in me to be a comedian. The road to discovery of how I was going to do it, well, that was one that, it kind of mapped out the way it was. I was chosen.
Yeah.
That's not love.
And I feel that my, like we were talking to, about being sommelier or anything you want to become, my diligence, and I know that my diligence and my efforts and my dedication is what really got me into the position that I'm in, and what keeps me here. When we talked about that rebellion, I think a lot of the rebellion, I actually feel like I wasn't able to because I was so in my head. Now I feel like I can articulate it better than I could when we started. Was the rebellion also was coming to me as a form of entertainment for my class and for my friends. I mean, when I was again, who I am, it's so funny because we just talked so much about evolution. Who I am sitting in this chair is almost exactly who was sitting in that chair in the classroom with the spitting out the notes.
So good.
But also completely fucking polar. Like, I'm also so different. And for me, because there was so much focus on who I was at a time, which was a character, and there were, again, a lot of my value as a human was chalked up to that, to Hannah Montana, to that identity. So I got cast at 12 years old, and that's obviously just the spongiest, most absorbent time in your life. And again, a time of just self-discovery, and there's just so many things that are happening and changing, and just, again, I have 5 brothers and sisters, and they're growing up, and we're figuring out our dynamic. And, the concept of the show is that when I would alter my image, and I would put on a wig, and I would, put on sparkly things, that I held a new value, that I was valuable. It did translate into my real life. There was a different level of, like, hysteria when Hannah Montana. I mean, it was actually kind of crazy being Hannah Montana. Now I have a hard time remembering exactly what that felt like, but there was, the way that kids would react at these, like, Hannah shows versus when I was myself and I would meet fans out. It was different. And so, again, on that, like, kind of psychological level, I guess that's kind of why originally, when I first started doing, like, solo projects as my own identity, I'd almost create kind of alter egos of myself, because I thought that I'm Miley, because my name is Miley on the show too, which it wasn't. When my friends from Nashville were going to audition, obviously the name wasn't Miley, but I embodied the character so much that the writers thought it made most sense for Hannah to be Miley because of how much I truly was the character. And it didn't really feel like a character. I just said, okay, someone told me I'm Hannah Montana, I am now Hannah Montana. And anything that I create for her, I am in. It's like, it's beyond method, because I was growing up as her, she was me. Like, there was no divide between us. That's who I was. There was a 15-year anniversary. And this was 15 years of my show being on air. And I spent the day thinking, what do I want to do with my next 15 years? That was what I dedicated my day to. And usually I would feel I wasn't doing enough if I wasn't, talking with the fans, creating. But I thought, this day is, like, bigger than it is a birthday almost to me. And, like, I really feel, we're talking about spirituality, that I needed to, on that day, I wrote a letter to Hannah Montana from myself.
Holy shit.
And it was about, just my gratitude towards the character.
What was it suggested, or is this something that you?
No, I thought about it. I thought about it.
It's strong.
I don't think anyone really could have told me to do it, because a lot of the people that are around me now were not in that 3-day car ride with me and my mom.
That's strong.
That was like, it was just, yeah. So now when I wrote this letter and I was able to kind of, like, make peace with it, I thought, and peace being the kind of key word of the story, is that when I thought, what do I want the next 15 years? Because I knew when I was in that car driving through days to California, what I wanted, I guess, these next 15 years to look like. I knew what I wanted, so I was able to achieve it, because everything that I did, I would know for a fact if I was taking a step forward or backwards, because I knew my destination. Mm-hmm. And I think, clarity and knowing what you want, you're able to make each day count. So I really spent this anniversary thinking about what I wanted, and it's kind of vague, but somehow says everything. It was about, I want to find peace. The way that people feel that they've been reborn or saved, I feel that I have been 6 weeks ago. I feel like everything changed 6 weeks ago for me.